In November 2021, defense analysts noticed that Russian tanks were sporting strange cages on top of their turrets. Unmistakably, this was slat armor or cage armor, designed to deflect incoming anti-tank missiles or shells, knocking them off their trajectory, crushing their fuses before they hit the tank's main armor, or detonating them before they reach the tank. Evidently, the armor has not been effective, as shown by conflict monitors, who have identified hundreds of destroyed Russian tanks, many with cages lying idly beside the wrecks. For small missile and rocket-propelled grenade warheads, analysts say this kind of cage armor has a decent chance of success and is used by militaries the world over. The type of shoulder-launched weapons that cage armor can stop, such as the rocket-propelled grenade launcher, RPG, are typically fired horizontally at the front, back, or sides of a tank. Some modern anti-tank missiles supplied to Ukraine, such as the Javelin and the next-generation light anti-tank weapon, INLAW, are designed to explode above a tank's thin roof armor, leading some observers to think the cages were a haphazard DIY defense against this top attack. But this might not be the case. In December, one Russian defense analyst had observed how cage armor would not stop a modern anti-tank missile. Dmitry Litovkin told Russia's TASS news agency that slat armor was less effective against tandem charge high-explosive munitions, or weapons that have two explosive charges, one to blast away defensive armor and a bigger main charge. This is exactly how Javelin and INLAW missiles work, suggesting the Russians might have had another defense in mind, possibly drones with small missile warheads attacking from above, or RPGs being fired from rooftops in urban battles, a problem Russia encountered in Chechnya. On a Russian T-72 tank, frontal armor is the equivalent of about 500 millimeters of steel, but on the roof it has far less, as little as 30 millimeters. Modern anti-tank weapons such as the Javelin, which was already in service in Ukraine before the invasion, have what is called a top attack mode precisely for this reason, targeting thin top turret armor. A number of analysts recently explained that the problem with these cages is that a lot of anti-tank weapons in use in Ukraine do not have a fuse in the nose, negating one of the cage's protective methods of crushing the fuse. The principle behind cage armor dates back to the Second World War, when German tanks were fitted with spaced armor to destroy or deflect incoming anti-tank shells. Arms research service Caliber Obscura describes the usual circumstances where the armor can work. Essentially, the main thing with these cages is that they seek to replicate slat or cage armor, which has genuine effectiveness when it comes to armored vehicles, as it has the ability to disrupt some, but not all, RPG variants, such as the PG-7V, and reduce the likelihood of a successful hit, according to Caliber Obscura. U.S. forces briefly experimented with cage armor during the Vietnam War, but decided it limited vehicle mobility because of its bulk and weight. Lightweight cage armor variants, including aluminum armor, were later used by coalition forces in Iraq and Afghanistan. In the late 1980s, modern anti-tank weapons were developed to target tank turret roofs. Some Russian tanks subsequently have explosive armor on their roofs to deflect missiles, but modern anti-tank weapons have a tandem charge that explodes to detonate the armor before the more powerful main warhead detonates. For the main warhead, missiles such as the Javelin and the INLAW use what is known as a shaped explosive charge, which concentrates explosive power to defeat armor. Test Videos of American TOW missiles in top attack mode against Soviet-era T-72 tanks show the missile exploding far above the tank's roof, well above the height of any cage. Sensors in the missile know exactly when it's flying over the target. The TOW missile explodes several meters above the T-72, causing a catastrophic explosion. Similarly, the top attack mode of the In-Law and the Javelin have a proximity fuse, meaning that it does not have to make contact with the cage armor before detonating. In both cases, a jet of superheated metal is directed into the tank, capable of penetrating hundreds of millimeters of steel. Any cage, therefore, would be rendered useless. Caliber Obscura believes that even in cases where the slat armor could be useful, perhaps against small kamikaze drones, or small munitions fired or dropped from drones, the DIY nature of the Russian cages could still be a fatal flaw. Quality engineering does not apply to the coat cage, the group wrote, using a popular online term for the armor. The grille appears to be less dense than proper cage armor and constructed from random household materials in some cases,